Live from the lair of the Bucketman, touching on all his special interests and hopefully some of yours too, it's the Bucketman Show!
You just reacted to flies like some people react to immigrants in America. Flies.
You know what? Baseball would be a good one.
For like, what? You're swinging a bat with your arms. To run.
And I'm like, okay, whoever this guy is, he's a unique individual.
I like how it's just dirty, drunk, like fed up. Bob Barker's just like, I hate this show. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I think that's the real him.
I vomited on my tank top.
And now, here's your host, the Bucketman!
Hello everyone, happy holidays and welcome to the Bucketman Show. We are here today, an hour away from Christmas Day. I decided to start recording this one. I came up with the topic list and everything like last minute, got home from a Christmas party. And you know, we are fastly approaching Christmas Day as I record this now. What does that lead to? That leads to, you know, Christmas Day, the gifts, the food, and then the day after Christmas, when, you know, outside your gifts, you got your gift cards. And I personally, you know, have a love-hate relationship with this part because, this kind of speaks generally to the whole of this situation and, you know, just like shipping in general, but like shopping online outside of Amazon is just it ruins the experience of buying the thing that you want. Like, yeah, I got it, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, even before that. Online ordering, it would take time to get to you. Yeah, I got that. We're at a different point now, and there's no thought in my mind outside of greed for them that it takes this long, that they're choosing the cheapest possible methods unless you pay out the anus ass hole to get it to you faster. It's bothering me. So does shipping. And it just ruins the whole experience. Like, you 2 weeks, for me personally, it just throws me out of the whole like hype of, and I have to get myself back into it, and just of the item. And I don't know, maybe it's an ADHD autism thing. I don't know, but personally, I think we should be as a whole, with anyone shipping products for businesses, should be doing better to get it to the people. We'll talk about the post office another goddamn day, because that's just a whole other beast entirely. Like, you want to talk about fraud and waste? Like, I've never seen a less accountable organization than the post office. The amount of times I've gotten cock-fingered by the ETA that they give is just infuriating. They're like, especially when I basically know at this point that if they say it's going to arrive early, it's not going to arrive early. Especially if it's on a Saturday. Oh yeah, I love that when I get on Friday, oh, it was supposed to arrive this coming Thursday, but now it's going to arrive Saturday. No, that means it's not going to arrive, because it never arrives on Saturday. Like, I never had a package arrival change from the expected date to the coming Saturday, or any Saturday at all, even the original date being ETA Saturday, and have it arrive. It's always delayed to Monday or Tuesday, and there's no reason why that you can't contact. There's no way to contact customer support. That I've basically resorted to now, just firing hate stories on Instagram, not actual hate, but like just shout outs and call outs to the post office and letting them know that they suck, because they do. Like, these are our packages, these are our mail, this is our mail that we're dealing with. And the businesses don't provide a way for us to get transparency with our packages in a meaningful way. Most of the groups they offer third party these deliveries to don't have an accurate support system, and that's just ordering within like the western states. Good God, if you order from somewhere else. But that's just that bag of wax, and I rambled on about the monologue for too long. Shipping is a sucky situation. We all know that. Contact your senator. Let's get to the bid. Let's get to the conversations and beyond this. So I've shared this a few times before. I used to be quite the heavy boy. I used to be quite the heavy guy. I used to be quite the heavy man. I used to be a big fat lard. No, but what was it? When I was a teenager, I got guinea pigged on some antidepressant medication that made me gain a bunch of weight. It increased my appetite, rather. It didn't just like, I'm taking these pills and I'm gaining 50 pounds a pill. That's not how it works. But that, and I was just really never able to shake it for, until, after the surgery. But, before the surgery, and that was 2016, I was 400 pounds. I was a much different creature. In many different ways, but I had that. The reason I bring this up is this is like an anniversary of it, because Christmas Eve of 2016 was when I was able to come off the post-surgery diet. So let me explain how this works to you guys. So you get the surgery, and it's a very non-invasive surgery. Most of the time, they it's a couple micro slits in your stomach, and then they just kind of work it with, I think it's like, it's like it's a very non-invasive way of going in and tying up your stomach from the inside. That's the best way I could say it, or patching it, I forget. But the post-surgery diet was, so you just had surgery on your stomach. It's fragile. It's in a frail situation. You have to let it heal. And apparently, while I did expect that, drinking my food or soft food would be something I wasn't a stranger to, I'm never going to eat salmon again in my life. After having to drink salmon, yes, let me just say that again. I had to drink salmon. I had to drink salmon, and it was terrible because it's so chock full of vitamins that you need throughout the day, and it's one of the most efficient ways in that healing stage to get you the vitamins you need to operate normally. So no more salmon ever again. I'm never going to eat salmon again. Certainly not drink it again, but I'm never going to eat it again, because I have salmon drinking PTSD. That's what I have. I wake up in cold sweats in the middle of the night. I'm like, I could get the salmon out of my mouth. I don't want to drink any more salmon. And then it's a haunting experience. But why was I talking about this? Oh yeah. So you go through, that for about, I guess it was like 2 months, because I had the surgery. This is the other reason I'm bringing up the timing of it. My parents are both medical professionals, so I left it to them to pick the best time to execute this. And they decided the best time to do it would be to have the surgery right before Halloween. And right before Thanksgiving. Let me just add that part too, because that was a whole... and then to come off the diet on Christmas Eve. So let's just put this in the context here. You got a guy who is having surgery because he liked to eat too much. And the best time to curb his appetite and adjust him to the diet is the worst times of the year to avoid food. But okay, I'd leave that to them. I came off the surgery, Halloween passed, and then Thanksgiving came, and I was still healing. And that was another great decision of my parents, that they decided, we're going to go do a family trip to South Carolina to go see other family. Love my family. Being around a big family feast while I'm still healing and can't eat. Which that was the other thing too. I was promised one salvation for that meal: mashed potatoes. It's just I had one thing to look forward to for Thanksgiving. It was mashed potatoes. And what did they do? And I hate that I can't blame them for this, because I feel like they should know this, but they got Whole Foods mashed potatoes. And that's terrible. I don't know if you've ever had Whole Foods mashed potatoes. I don't know if they just have a firm stance against butter or salt, but those were the worst mashed potatoes I have ever tasted in my life. It's the Red Bank, New Jersey Whole Foods. You go, no, it's not. That was in South Carolina. What am I talking about? It was a Whole Foods in South Carolina. I forget where we were. I don't know why I went to the other state entirely. I f***ed up that whole thing completely. But so yeah, that was Thanksgiving, and then came Christmas Eve of 2016. I was able to come off the diet. And, I'm not going to lie, doctors definitely did warn me that. Sneeze attack. I'm going to collect myself here. Okay. It's that head rush you get after a sneeze attack. You got to rush off them. Don't ever have a sneeze attack. I can't tell you to control that. What am I talking about? Give me a drink. So, where were we before I started launching sneeze mortars? That's disgusting. Christmas Eve of 2016. I've been greenlit to come off the diet, and the doctors did warn me that, and not that anything went terribly wrong. Let me just preface this. The doctors did warn me that, that when you come off the diet and you start eating regular foods, this is going to be a different experience for you. It's going to feel heavier. And I guess, we've talked about my awareness levels over the earlier years with my autism, but I guess also I just didn't know what he meant by heavy. I mean, I think it would have just been better if he just said, listen, you're going to... No, he did say that too. That he did say... you're gonna feel full faster. I guess it was just, I was so caught up with how crazy the whole experience was altogether, and the drinking of the salmon, that I was just so excited to enjoy regular foods. And I guess I also thought that, it wouldn't happen as quickly as it did, but I took a bite. I ate one. It was like, when you go to a party and they have like quesadillas set up, and they're like little party-sized tiny quesadillas. I ate one of those. Maybe, I didn't rush eat it, but maybe quicker than I should have at that way coming into the surgery. And my stomach had never felt heavier in my entire life. It was like I ate it, and then immediately as I went down my throat, I was like, ooh, ooh. But this is all in my head, because I don't want to be openly doing this at a party, but in my head I'm just going, ooh, ooh, it's heavy. Oh, I want to sit, I want to lie down, I want to sink into the ground. So, that was just, I wish my parents would have thought through planning that surgery a little bit better, and the timing of it all. Nevertheless, I've lost a lot of weight, and, I wouldn't look back. Yes, can I drink carbonation anymore? No. But you shouldn't, by the way. But if you've had the bariatric surgery, do not drink any carbonation. It will expand your stomach and undo the process or kill you, but at the very most. I am not lying. It's it's the size of I'm going to pull up the small banana, the tiny little banana you see in the supermarket, if I remember. And it's that size. It's that size. It's that size. So bubbles, especially if you chug, are gonna pop that, especially fresh out of surgery. Do not drink anything carbonated if you've had the bariatric surgery. If you're about to have the bariatric surgery, beer, seltzer, soda, anything carbonated, you gotta do without. There are replacements, drinks, and whatnot, and I guarantee you'll feel better.
Allow me to share with you all the Funko Parts About Me. That's it. That's the whole intro right there. I couldn't think of anything else.
So the Funko we are talking about today is my Airy Funko Pop. There she is right there. So this one is from, we've talked about My Hero Academia before. This is from, she appeared in season 4. She was being held by, what are they called? The Yakuza gang. Yakuza gang, who was using her for her quirk, which her quirk is something called rewind, which essentially it can rewind your body, whether it be at the maximum to aging, to de-age, or to, if more controlled, to heal wounds and revert mutations, things like that. This was being used in it's just such a, like, even still today I look back at it, it's just a monstrous depiction. But the gang was siphoning her blood to make bullets that they'd use to eliminate other heroes' powers. It's the imagery is even more and blood to bullets. It was very, they painted that shocker point very clearly in the show. And this one sticks with me because Airy is she's a little girl. She's a very sweet young girl. And it's another trope of someone pure-hearted and, just wanting to be loved, who has gone through hell, mistreatment, and she finds a home within the Hero Academia, which, it sounds cliche, but, it's nice that this one, in a sense, had a happy ending, that, she was taken away from the place where her blood was being weaponized against other people, and not only found people who saved her, but found people she could look up to and admire, and even be friends with, find a sense of community. And that's just like, that goes, I feel like, beyond the cliche of a happy ending. That's like a perfect ending right there. Yeah, season 4 was definitely one of the more meaningful, if not one of the most, if not the most meaningful season of My Hero Academia for me. Largely because of Airy. I think just the urgency that Deku felt to save Airy, rightfully, I think really was his true first step in becoming a hero. I feel everything else beforehand, incidental training, you grow through training, the villains invading, incidental. But I think that the ordeal he had to go through, the fight with Chisaki, and his focus to protect Airy was really his true first obstacle on the path to become a true hero. And it's beautiful. It is. It's as beautiful as when you see, a heartwarming news story. Yeah, it seems cliche in your head, but in this day and age, a lot of people will just say that. But even in their hearts, they're happy that everyone's okay and people are happy. And I like that. So I think that that was worth noting. And we're going to go to the next part here. So I'm going. This story is so worth sharing that I'm going to lawyer for myself and redact parts of the story or rewrite them in a certain way. And you'll see what I mean in a bit. So in 2010, there was a concert called the Mayhem Fest held at the PNC event hall in Hazlet. And it was that was my first metal concert I had gone to with my friend Matt. And I will say that I have knowledge and found it quite amusing that there was a person who got bored waiting in line because I think, what was it? They were, there was a line to the main stage. And I think they were 30 minutes behind schedule. I can't remember why, but that was just the message being talked down. And, we were just basic math looking at the clock. And there was someone who, even though they were simply just dressed in a tank top and shorts, didn't look like anything more than a concert goer, got the bright idea in their stupid 18-year-old head when they saw an open Mrs. Field stand to go rummaging through the garbage, pull out a bunch of different empty plastic water bottles with matching caps, fill them up at the public water fountain, and go stand at the Mrs. Field stand. And I know what you're thinking. Was this person going to try to sell the trash water? Yes. And they made $30 doing it. It's the knowledge of that is definitely it's a stain on human society for both for the party buying and the person selling, frankly. And for kids, we do crazy stuff, I forgive that kid. I forgive that kid. I'll give him the forgiveness. It's like, the people buying should have known this, should have looked and say, hey, these waters are unsealed. You're wearing a tank top and jean shorts. You're not a Mrs. Field stand worker. So don't feel bad about what you did as a kid. We're kids. As long as you didn't murder anyone or, hate crime or terror. Like I did the hate crime, the terror, the murder. No rape. You're fine. Just we learn as children and as teenagers, and we grow. And what that person learned from that experience was that once they got into the concert hall, the venue state to go see the main show, there was one of the bands performing during me lawyering, doing all the ums, but one of the bands performing made a statement about pirating music, and they made a statement about pirating music, and then demanded anyone who could to throw change, pocket change. They'd go into your pockets and throw change onto the stage. And we're kids. We don't think things through, even though the person on stage told us to throw the change on stage, and I saw a bunch of people throw change on stage, and then this person threw change on stage, and then immediately was pulled out by security for throwing change on stage, and then let go because the lead security guard realized that the lead singer told everyone to throw change on stage. So I guess what that person learned that day was that you're more likely to get in trouble for something you thought you could do rather than something you obviously shouldn't do. In that scenario, at least. I don't know. It was fun, but it was just a lot of weird shit happened that day. And, someone made $30 off of selling trash water. So there's a video about this on my channel. You can go check it out. But I'm going to, go over the story now just for the sake of it, because the video only goes into so much. But back in 2019 was a busy year for me. But back in 2019, when I was living in Mattawan, I had an encounter that was interesting. I was in my apartment at the time, and this girl living with me, Janelle, and I was making breakfast. She was hanging out, and then all of a sudden she says to me, "Turn off the TV I had playing at the time," and turn off dead silence, and then we hear someone yelling for help, someone screaming for help. So I go closer to my window. I hear it's coming from behind my apartment. There's a gate. At the time, there's a gate, and then you go past the gate, and there's a walkway that's just a general walkway for Mattawan, right in front of a Walgreens, and there was that's where the help was coming from. So I bolt out of my apartment and run towards the man yelling for help, and there's a man out on the field in the grass with his hand spouting blood, and there's a small I hate going through this part, a small puppy pit bull being attacked by a German Shepherd. I immediately because they were still on leash, and I immediately put it together that these two got into a scuffle over a toy, and this genius thought it would be a good idea to put his hand between the two to break it up. What are you gonna do? Like, your dogs are fighting. I guess I sympathize, but I didn't even think. I ran towards the German Shepherd. I kicked it as hard as I could off the pit bull, and the German Shepherd went flying. Not crazy far, like 3 feet, and then I went to go assist the pit bull and make sure he was okay. And then the German Shepherd doubled back from me. This is where I still don't understand to this day how I responded this way, but it doubled back from me. And then I immediately went, and one hand under its stomach, and then the other hand over its nape, and then just picked it up and threw it towards the Walgreens. I know, I love dogs, and my first instinct is, I was there screaming for a bit first before this, but that didn't work, obviously. So, not an easy task for me to do, especially also after watching this poor pit bull limp around. Both the dogs are fine. Both the dogs were fine afterwards. So the police and the ambulance showed up after I calmed this dude down. Your dogs attack each other. You're gonna be upset. But I had to tell this guy, like, listen, you keep freaking out. You're gonna up the blood circulation. You're gonna lose more blood. Just breathe. Police are coming. Ambulance is coming. So they shooed me away, and then I go home and call my parents, brush everything off. Then later that week, that happened on a Sunday, and then later that week on a Wednesday, I got a call from WFAN, the sports radio in New York, and it turns out that their producer, Al Dukes, lived in the apartment behind me, and was watching the whole thing and called 911, or was one of the people who called 911. So I agreed to do a radio interview with them over my phone. This guy was, I don't know if you've ever listened to Al Dukes before, used dirty, oily condom. That's just the best way to describe him. He used dirty, oily condom. Let me explain why. This guy, the entire time on the phone, during the interview, would be like, we're like heroes. This guy's like the Robin to my Batman. I'm over the phone, just like, my dude, where do I begin? Like, what the, leave it, I was surprised I was able to keep my demeanor. And, to be fair, the other people on the radio show sounded like they were like, dude, what the is wrong with you? But then I did that interview. And then News 12 called me. And I did a segment with them. They met me behind my apartment at the time and to interview me about it. Didn't tell me, though, that Al Dukes was going to be there in person, which you could go see how well I held myself together in the video on my page. But God, I did not like shaking his hand. And yeah, the entire time, he's like, it was Batman and Robin. I'm like, dude, you didn't even leave your apartment. Like, what the are you serious? Like, you're staring, watching me fight a dog and give the best medical advice I can give. And you're standing up there going like, yes, excellent. Is my quesadilla ready yet? I should go check my easy bake oven because I'm a child who sits in their apartment and doesn't take action. So, Al Dukes, condom of a human being, dirty, used, oily condom of a human being who apparently has nothing else going on in his life, so he needs to attach himself to small accomplishments or just acts of other people, which to be clear, I was not calling myself a hero by any means necessary. I made it clear throughout that news story that when I talked to them at the time, I think it only shows up so much in the news show, but that my priority was the dog, and not having the dog suffer or hurt at all. So Al Dukes, dirty condom of a human being. Okay, you all ready for this? I got a great game show idea. I've had this one in my pocket for a while and thought about it. It's not that. I'm going to share it all with you. So we have plenty of baking shows out there. We have plenty of, just cooking shows and dessert shows and whatnot. We may have some, but I don't think we have proper food deception shows. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, the show would be called Fake Foods. Now, each challenge would be let's say that this challenge was a cake. So there'd be the contestant would walk up and present in front of them are two identical cakes. One of them has to be solely made with products the FDA has deemed as only as safe for human consumption, but not as food. So again, these have to be, the one cake is actual cake. The other cake, constructed of things only labeled as consumable, but not labeled as food. So like toothpaste, mouthwash, soy sauce packs. I'd have to look into it a little further. I don't think soy sauce would be labeled as food. I'd have to look into that. But maybe just because it's sauce is food. I don't know. But the point is that the cake would have to be, one cake would have to be made of completely non-FDA things labeled by the FDA as consumable, but not as food. And the contestant would have to, on the spot, without inside examination, just looking from the outside, pick one and bite into it. If it's the real cake, they can obviously finish it if they want to, but they win. If they eat the fake food, they have to eat the whole thing. So I don't know what are let's take a look here. What are some things that are FDA approved wait, actually this is right. List of things FDA approved as consumable but not considered food. Cellulose, that's purified wood pulp. Okay, so that could definitely be used for, like, you know, I don't know, mimicking icing or, you know, like certain textures of food. Shellac, a resin secreted by insects, so that could be used for like icing also. I don't know why two icings in a row, but you know, bug icing, cockroach icing. Carnauba wax, carnauba, plant-derived wax from palm leaves. That's the least repulsive one so far, and that's actually used on candies. So okay, titanium dioxide. What the? A whitening pigment used in foods and pills. There's titanium. Okay, so it's now restricted. I was going to say titanium, but now it does say it's considered restricted or controversial. Silicone dioxide, sand's well-behaved cut. What does that mean? What does that mean? Someone in the comments, please tell me what that means. Why is silicone dioxide sand's well-behaved cousin? What does that mean? What does it mean? When does sand misbehave? When does sand act up? Like, when does it, like, be like, hey, beach, hey, beach, not the ocean. I'm not talking the ocean. Beach, knock that off. We never have to do that. Propylene glycol, a petroleum-derived compound used to retain moisture. I don't like that. So yeah, you know, that it would just have to be stuff like that, and I feel like, you know, given all of those available things, you could definitely mimic like a cake with icing, and you know, you wouldn't have to obviously mimic the breading of the cake because you're only doing the outside, and then again, if they eat the fake food, they have to eat the whole thing. They'd have to eat a whole cake made of an acid and painkillers, chewing gum base, mineral oil, charcoal, and silicone dioxide, sand's well-behaved cousin, whatever that means. Okay, so here's where we get into. I think this is, you know, this is politics, yes, but it's also, you know, I think role models, media, music a little bit too. But when was the exact moment that Nicki Minaj switched over to being a Trumper? I'm sorry, I just this still continues to blow my mind. She was at Turning Point USA this past weekend talking to Erica Kirk, which again, no problem with her. Probably disagree with her on a couple of things if I look further into it, but you know, I've been nothing but sympathetic towards her, especially since her husband was murdered. Not by the French. It's a real teller when I'm agreeing with Ben Shapiro. The French government does not give. Let me tell you this as someone who of French heritage. The French government does not give a f***. The French government does not give a f*** about Charlie Kirk. They don't give a f*** about. They are laughing at us right now, if anything. The most I think they'd probably ever have said about Charlie Kirk is, that Charlie Kirk talks so privileged. He doesn't know nothing of real suffering and pain. Oh, that's it. That's probably the only French comments being made about Charlie Kirk ever. There's no special French agent sent here to assassinate Charlie Kirk. There was no other party other than the party responsible, and solely him, in my eyes, for killing Charlie Kirk, for the monstrous act. Which, let's be clear, again, I've said this so many times, but I feel like this is something you have to be very clear about. I do not celebrate his death at all. I didn't celebrate Trump's assassination. Certainly do not celebrate Charlie Kirk's death. The man preached free speech. I can't knock that. I can't. Especially when he was willing to even turn away slightly from his base and usual opinions to concede certain points. Am I going to go into all those right now? Hell no, absolutely not. That's not what this is about. But the outside of that divulgence, you know, Nicki Minaj was at Turning Point USA this past weekend, and you know, I asked, when was the exact moment that she started to become a Trumper. I don't understand her. I don't understand Snoop Dogg. I don't understand Black MAGA. I'm going to say I don't understand you guys. Let's start with Nicki Minaj. She made it very clear in 2020 that she was not going to jump on the Trump bandwagon, which kind of for me was a moment where I needed to raise my eyebrows and say, why are you saying that? No one thought you were gonna. You were very against him at that time before you said that, and now I'm wondering why you're saying that, and you know what you're trying to do with that. It's very weird, very strange, very odd. Constantly criticize this man for misogyny. Like there's clips from right before, right in 2019, where she's talking about him chasing after young women and young and things like that.
But Donald Trump, he gets to hang out with young and have 50 different wives and just be cool.
Which pink hair, which I don't see her do anymore. But and like also very outspoken about the border policies, given that she is a child of immigration. I don't know if she illegally immigrated or legally immigrated. I know she's probably a legal citizen now, but the point is that she knows the issue. She knows the struggle, and she was very outspoken about the border policies in the first time.
In an emotional social media post in 2018, she called out the separation of families at the border during Trump's first administration, saying, quote, "This is so scary to me. Please stop this."
And yet, again, she was at Turning Point USA this past weekend. She's since 2024, leave aside the anti-vaxxing, because I want to dive into that kind of territory, but seemingly anti-trans now, which I don't, this is another piece of why Black MAGA doesn't make sense. So I'm going to lay it all out for you. That there's that. It's, they're lying to you, right? They're lying to you. Like, you are not the exception to their desire to whitewash this country. You are not the Black MAGA group are not the exception to future cruelty. You are not the exception to, oh, well, yes, he called for the hanging of the Central Park Five, but you guys are different. No, you guys obviously, he thinks, that wasn't a statement he made about basically, how he feels about black people in general. No. It's the fact that you seemingly, that's what it is. You'll seemingly throw away your self-respect, your dignity, and possibly your personal safety, along with years of civil rights activism and crafted media and music about the subject, because prices are too high, because you don't like immigration, which makes equally as little sense to me. Really, for anyone to be freaking out about, like, as much as they do, but for Black MAGA specifically, like, there's you guys know, and have read and definitely heard in school what your ancestors had to go through in this country. You know that, right? Like, I don't feel like I should be the one to have to tell Black MAGA this. It makes no sense. It makes no sense going that route. It goes counter to their obviously pure white ideals. It just does. And it makes no, like, the border policies. If you voted for him, you knew he was inhuman the first time. And if you're not a idiot, you knew he was going to be some sort of inhuman this time around, which he is. I personally, if my grandparents or anyone in my past family or current had been sprayed down with hoses, still to this day have racial attacks thrown at them, racially profiled, beat by police officers, and that's just of the past 150 years, leave alone the founding of America and everything like that. How I couldn't have family or any friends or anyone, or even have seen someone gone through that in my lifetime and support them at all. No issue in this country is worth throwing away your pride and ideals, your sense of self-respect. And that's just what being Black MAGA is, I feel like, is you guys are just throwing away your self-respect. You're throwing away your personal safety. You're throwing away your self-worth and being cheerleaders to angry, arrogant white people. That's just what it is. And I'm not saying, you're black, you have to support someone who's black or someone who's a minority. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you obviously shouldn't support the party that's been openly racist, openly trans and anti-trans, openly misogynist, not being upfront about their involvement with the sex trafficking of young women. It's like I feel like it would be the last thing the black community of any sort want to associate themselves with, and it's definitely true that a large group of the black community doesn't want anything to do with Trump, hates what he's doing, thinks it's disgusting. A lot of African American lawmakers, a lot of musicians, having people like Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj I feel like it's just a lot of people's like, oh well, they're doing it all because prices, because of people entering a country that, let's be clear here, it's our country in the responsibility sense. We do not all own a fraction of this country. That's not what that means. Let me just be clear about that. So anyone outside a political role, and you can have your opinion on immigration. That's fine. I don't like. That's fine. To each their own. Shut up about it. If you're like to the scale where it gets to how it gets, shut up about it. Unless you're not in a position to do something about it, and not a self-entitled position with a firearm. Let me be clear about that too. So I don't know. I don't think Black MAGA makes any sense. It just doesn't. It's such a foolish thing, and I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I'm white. I get it. I know what it's like to be discriminated against. I have autism. I also have disabilities. I know what it's like to be judged based on a word or words. I know what it's like to have assumptions made about you. I know what it's like to feel like your society's trapped you in a certain cycle, doomed to fail. I get it. Believe me, I do. That's why it makes so little sense to me why any self-respecting African American would hold the banner of MAGA at all. And that, I'm not saying you can't be Republican. I'm not saying you can't be MAGA. I'm just saying it's disgusting. But it's been shown there are plenty of Republicans out there who don't associate with MAGA. It makes no sense to me at all why any claimingly self-respecting African American aware of their worth would subjugate themselves to MAGA. And to anyone with friends who are Black MAGA, anyone who you know, or deal with in chats or whatever, have a real talk with them, especially the African American community. Have a talk with your other African American friends or family who are Trumpers. A real talk to them and say, like, why? What do you think he's going to do for you? What do you think he's done for you so far? The answer is nothing. So it's incumbent upon us to call this out. And yeah, I think this is it's important. It's important that we don't have these muddled hypocrisies and misconceptions about what they're doing and what their intentions are. So that was episode 2, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. I mean, looking back at it, how can you not enjoy it? We talked about stomach surgery. We talked about anime. We talked about trash water, talked about feeding people non-foods, and we had a talk with Black MAGA. Productive to say the least. I don't know. I'm never afraid to have a real talk and also talk about nonsense. So I think we did a nice muddled mix here. We talked about fake cake. we told the safest version of knowledge of an incident that we have that happened like 10 years ago. I talked about me being used to be really fat, and Al Dukes is a cockhole. So that's the end card. Go to the end card.